Franny. Francis. Let's go, buddy. Let's not fritter away the best part of the day here. Let's go, buddy.
Why is it so sunny?
I bring the sun wherever I go, buddy.
Why'd you wake me up?
Well, it's like this, see? Brother Anselmo and I were offered a parish in Labrador, see? We were wondering if we could get your blessing before...
God, I had the most horrible dream.
Go ahead. I'll interpret.
I was at a pool somewhere.
The swimming pool. That's very interesting. Very significant. Abdication, Zooey.
Shh, or I'll forget it. Oh, God. I was at the swimming pool, and these two girls from my dorm kept making me dive for a can of Medaglia d'Oro coffee that was at the bottom. And I was crying. And I kept saying to them, you have your bathing suits on, why don't you do a little diving yourself? And they had this big oar, and they kept trying to hit me with it every time I'd surface.
Huh.
The only person there that made any sense was Professor Tupper. He's the only person that I know that truly detests me.
Detests you? Why does Professor Tupper detest you now? You realize without absolute
Because I'm in this
frankness.
crazy religion seminar he conducts, and I can never bring myself to smile back at him when he's being all charming and Oxfordish. He's just this terribly old, self-satisfied phony with wild and woolly white hair. I think he goes into the men's room and musses it up before class. I honestly do.
What was he doing at the pool?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! He was just standing there and smiling and watching. Oh, he was the worst one there.
You look like hell, you know that?
You could have sat there all morning without saying that.
What's the book?
I was wondering if Bessie'd finally send you in here. It's been 3 days. I honestly thought you'd have better material by now.
Well, take it easy. I just happen to look like hell, that's all.
I suppose Bessie told you I'm at death's door or something. I don't know. All she knows is I told her I'm not going back to school, which got on this whole chicken soup routine.
Cool off, buddy. This isn't a search and rescue. My God, who took this out?
What is it? I can't see.
Bessie and Les, you needn't be so mean, baby. I'd be interested to know how in the hell we landed in this goddamn jungle from you needn't be so mean, baby. You figure it out.
I can't. I've tried. Where'd you go last night? I thought I heard someone leave late. It was you, wasn't it?
It was me. Some television hoopla. I don't care to discuss it. Dick Hess just called. You know, he never starts working until after 1 in the goddamn morning. And 2 martinis deep, probably, but in this terribly sober voice, he tells me he has to see me. So I told him I was in my pajamas and slippers, and anyway, I don't drink, but this is terribly important. No kidding now. Be a good guy for once in your life and hop in a cab and come on down. What a night. I sat there for 2 hours while he told me what a superior son of a bitch I am and what a family of psychotics and psychopathic prodigies I come from. And then, when he was through with analyzing me and Buddy and Seymour, he pulls out this gorgeous monogrammed attaché case and shoves a new hour-long script underneath my arm.
Oh, how is it?
I could be Bernie. A sensitive young subway guard and the most courageous goddamn offbeat television opus you've ever read.
You mean it? Is it really good?
I didn't say good. I said courageous. Let's keep on our toes here, buddy. And they'll all be slamming each other on the backs for this one. Dick will walk into Lesage's office this afternoon and he'll say,
Mr. Lesage, sir, I have a script here that absolutely stinks of courage and integrity, and I know, sir, that next to scripts that are tender and poignant, you love scripts that have courage and integrity. And this one, as I say, sir, stinks of both. It's down to earth, it's simple, it's untrue, and it's familiar enough and trivial enough to be understood and loved by our greedy.
I just took a bath. I'm sweating like a pig.
Oh.
Someone's lips are moving. The prayer is rising. What are you doing? You taking refuge from my unchristian attitude towards the popular arts? Just don't smile at me, please. Seymour was always doing that. This whole house is lousy with smilers.
Why do you do it then? If you feel that way.
Why do I act? Because I'm sick to death of getting up furious in the morning and going to bed furious at night. Because I sit in judgment of every poor, ulcerous bastard I know. Dick Hess doesn't want to do good work. He just wants to get work done, which will be thought good by everybody he knows. His the critics, the sponsors, the public, his children's school teacher. At least I judge straight from the colon when I judge, and I know that I will pay like hell for any judgment I mete out, sooner or later, one way or another.
Oh, God.
What? I can't hear you.
Nothing. I said, oh, God.
Why, oh God?
Nothing. Don't jump on me. I was only thinking, that's all. Everything you've been saying, I've been trying to say for weeks. I quit the theater. Abandoned the whole department, poor Kathy, but it really needed to be done.
What? I thought you were mad about this new part.
What is the matter with you? It just started bothering me, that's all. You're the one discharging all that ego all over television. Not to mention, I was usually ashamed to be in any of the plays I was in. If you heard some of the lines I had to say, I'd never have to speak to you again. I've had the nightmarish experience of sitting next to you in a theater. I'd hate to God to be standing in front of you. You wanna know why I really quit? I liked the applause. I loved it when people raved about me. How good I was, how pretty I looked on stage. It's sick for someone to crave that sort of thing. I'm sick of not having the courage to be an absolute nobody. I am so sick of everyone that wants to get somewhere, do something distinguished, of anyone that wants to make any kind of splash. It's disgusting. It is. It is. I don't care what anybody says. What? But you're about to disagree with me?
I'm not saying anything, buddy. We're freaks, that's all. Buddy got to us early with the betas and Flaubert and made us into freaks with freakish standards, that's all. We're the tattooed lady. And we're never going to know a minute's peace until everyone else is tattooed too.
Do you really have an ulcer? Mother says you have an ulcer.
Yes, I have an ulcer, for Christ's sake. This is Kali Yuga, buddy. The Iron Age. Anybody without an ulcer over the age of 16 is a goddamn spy. So, what's the book? Unless it's a goddamn secret or something.
What book? This, you mean? Just something I brought to read on the train.
What do you think of it?
I don't know, it's peculiar. I found it at the library. The section man at school talked about it. I keep forgetting to return it. I've had it for weeks.
Who wrote it?
I don't know, some Russian peasant apparently. You never learn his name in the whole book.
It's something called The Way of the Pilgrim, and its sequel, The Pilgrim Continues His Way. It's all about this peasant who walks all around Russia trying to learn what it means in Thessalonians when it says man ought to pray without ceasing. And he finds this terribly advanced method of prayer where if you say it over and over, you just have to say it with your lips at first. But eventually something happens, and the words become synchronized with the person's heartbeat until you're literally saying the prayer with your heart. I've been saying it this whole year at school. I just got this idea in my head and I could not get it out that college is just another dopey named place in this world dedicated to piling up treasure on earth. I mean, treasure is treasure. What's the difference whether your treasure is money or property or culture or even just plain knowledge? It all seems like exactly the same thing to me when you take off the wrapping, and it still does. Professor Tupper talks all about the pursuit of enlightenment in class as being this phony social status thing. Like, if you just gorge yourself on enough Eastern texts, the Buddha will show up and hand you the bar exam, and if you pass, boom, you're enlightened. All the while, his greed for the text is running the whole room ragged, making them just as hungry, just as greedy as he is, and the worst part is, they all seem to think that's good. I think knowledge, when it's just knowledge for knowledge's sake, is the worst of all. I don't know if it all would have gone me quite so down if just once in a while, I mean just once in a while, there was at least some polite little perfunctory implication that knowledge should lead to wisdom, and if it doesn't, well, it's just a disgusting waste of time. But there never is. Nobody ever tells you that wisdom should be the goal of our education, not just some rare side effect. Do you want to hear something funny? Do you want to hear something really funny? In almost 4 years of college, the only time I've ever heard the phrase wise man being used was in freshman year in political science. And do you want to know how it was being used? It was used in reference to some nice old poopy elder statesman who made a fortune in the stock market and then had got to Washington to become a financial advisor for President Roosevelt. Honestly now, 4 years of college almost. I'm not saying this happens to everyone, but I just get so upset when I think about it, I could just die.
I need to ask you something, Franny.
What do you think you're doing with the Jesus prayer?
You talk about piling up treasure, whatever that is, but in going on with the Jesus prayer, hold on a second, just wait till I'm finished, please. If you want enlightenment, aren't you trying to lay up some kind of treasure for yourself as a matter of simple logic? Just hold on a second, wait till I'm finished.
Lord Jesus Christ, have
Please.
mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus
God
Christ,
damn
have
it, there is
mercy on me.
something
Lord
about the
Jesus
way
Christ,
you
have
were
mercy on me.
going
Lord
at
Jesus
this
Christ,
prayer
have
that
mercy on
gives me the
Lord Jesus
willies
Christ,
if you
have
want to
mercy
know
on
the
me.
truth.
Lord Jesus Christ, have
You think I'm
mercy
trying
on
to take
me.
it
Lord
away
Jesus
from
Christ,
you?
have mercy
I
on me. Lord
don't
Jesus
know
Christ, have
whether
mercy
I
on me.
am or
Lord
not.
Jesus
It's a
Christ, have mercy on
goddamn
me. Lord
debatable
Jesus
point.
Christ, have mercy
But
on
I
me.
would
Lord
like
Jesus
for you
Christ,
to
have
clear
mercy
up
on me.
just what the hell your motives are in saying it.
May I interrupt now, Zachary?
Yes, interrupt.
I know all you're saying. What do you think I'm doing here in this crazy room, losing weight like mad, upsetting poor Betsy and Les, absolutely silly, upsetting the house and everything? You're saying that I want something from the Jesus prayer, and that makes me just as unattractive and inquisitive as someone who wants a nice sable coat, or to be famous, or to be dripping in some crazy kind of prestige. Everything that I've been saying.
Alright, take it
I
easy.
can't take it easy. You make me so mad. Oh, don't you think I have sense enough to question my motives for saying the Jesus prayer? That's exactly what's bothering me so. Nobody has any idea how egotistical and self-serving they are, and I mean nobody. Not the pilgrim, not Professor Tupper, and certainly not you. Maybe my treasure is enlightenment or peace, but that makes me just as guilty as they all should be. I don't want to give anything back. I just want to stop feeling this way. So if anything, I'm worse. I don't need the famous Zachary Glass to tell me that.
you want me to try to get Buddy on the phone? I think you should talk to somebody. I'm no good for this. Franny, what about it? Franny? What about it? Shall I try to get Buddy on the phone? What?
I want to talk to Seymour.
God damn it. There are nice things in this world, and I mean nice things. We're all such morons to get sidetracked. Always referring to everything that... You finished?
Yes, I'm finished. My gosh, what a household. You take your life in your hands, you just blow your nose.
You know, Buddy once said something reasonably sensible to me a couple of years back. If I could only remember what it was. I should get the hell out of here. I have a lunch date. I'd rather like a word with you, Miss Glass, if you've a moment. Say your prayer, if you want to, and feel free to smoke, but give me 5 minutes of uninterrupted silence, and, if at all possible, no tears at all. Okay? You hear me?
I hear you. You can say whatever you want as long as you don't get abusive with me. I mean it. Don't feel like a workout this morning.
No workouts. No workouts, buddy. And if there's one thing I never am, it's abusive. A little brisk sometimes when the situation warrants, but abusive, never.
Personally, I've always found...
I mean it, Zoe. And I wish you'd sit up, incidentally. Every time all hell breaks loose in this house, it seems very funny to me that it always comes from that exact spot that you're lying in. And that you're always the one lying there. Come on now. Just sit up, please.
Now, fortunately, I know you don't mean that, not deep down. We both know that this is the only piece of hallowed ground in this entire goddamn haunted house. This happens to be where I used to keep my rabbits, and they were saints, both of them. As a matter of fact, they were the only celibate.
Oh, just shut up! Just start if you're going to.
Franny, I think you think I have intentions of taking your prayer away from you.
That's a beautiful start, just beautiful.
Beg pardon?
Nothing, just go on, go on.
What I started to say, I have nothing against prayer at all. But I have a couple of things I want to say to you, and it's possible I'm not qualified to say them. It's very possible, in fact, who the hell knows?
You're a brownie, did you know that?
Just hold the compliments, buddy. You may live to retract them. Firstly, I don't like this Camille routine, and don't interrupt me now. I know you're legitimately falling apart and all that, but what I'm trying to tell you, and I'm not trying to, I'm telling you, is that this is terrible for Bessie and Les. It's terrible for them, and you know it. And did you know, god damn it, that Les was all for bringing a tangerine into you last night before he went to bed?
A tangerine?
Oh, Les.
Yes, by God. Even Bessie can't stand stories with tangerines in them, and God knows I can't.
Gosh, do we even have any?
Franny, if you're going to go ahead with this mental breakdown business, I wish to hell you'd go back to school to have it. Where you're not the baby of the family and where, God knows, nobody will have any urges to bring you any tangerines.
Okay.
This next thing that bothers me isn't pretty either, but I'm almost finished. What I don't like at all is this little hair-shirty private life of a martyr you're living back in college. This snotty little crusade you think you're leading against everybody. Don't spring at me now. I mean, for the most part, I agree with you. College is a frumpy echo chamber 99% of the time. But what I don't like at all, and what I don't think that Seymour or Buddy would like either, is the way that you talk about all these people. I mean, this Professor Tupper from your dream and these other two goons you told me about. I mean, you don't just despise what they stand for, you despise them. It's too damn personal, Franny, I mean it. You get a real little homicidal glint in your eye when you talk about it, but it is none of your business, buddy, what he does with his hair. This last part will probably cause an explosion, but I can't help it. It's the most important one of all. I don't know if you remember, but I remember a time around here when you were going through a little religious apostasy from the New Testament that could be heard for miles around Bend. But do you remember that, Franny? Do you remember it at all?
I was all of 10 years old.
I know how old you were. I know very well how old you were. Come on now, I'm bringing this up for a good reason. I don't think you understood Jesus as a child, and I don't think you understand him now. I think you've got him confused in your head with 5 or 10 other religious personages. But do you remember what started off this little religious apostasy? Franny? Do you remember or don't you? Well, I do as it happens. Matthew chapter 6. I remember it all very clearly. I was back in my room, putting some friction tape on my goddamn hockey stick when you busted in, all in an uproar with the Bible wide open. You didn't love Jesus anymore, and you wanted to call Seymour at his army camp and tell him all about it. Do you know why you didn't love Jesus anymore? Well, I'll tell you. You didn't approve of his going into the synagogue and throwing the tables and idols all over the place. That was very rude, very unnecessary. And what hasn't changed at all between now and then is that you are still fundamentally unable to love any son of God who throws tables around without just
I
cause.
suppose you can.
It's beside the point whether I can or not. I don't know if I'm sold on the idea of going to the guy's wedding anytime soon, but at least I've never tried to make Jesus more lovable. He may have been a son of a bitch, but who else in the Bible, who isn't he head and shoulders over? And don't tell me that charm boy Moses. Who else in the Bible really knew that we are carrying the kingdom of heaven around with us, inside, where we're too stupid and sentimental and unimaginative to look? But you'd rather he be the Bible's protagonist, and in my opinion, that's the reason why you're having this little mental breakdown, and particularly the reason why you're having it at home. This place is made to order for you. The service is good, and there's plenty of hot and cold running ghosts. You can say your prayer and roll Jesus and St. Francis and Seymour and Heidi's grandfather all into one.
Stop it, Zoe.
In a minute. Do you really not know who you're really praying to? That book, that exact book, has been sitting on Seymour's desk for 7 years, and last summer, it vanished. And for a while, I was sure that Buddy took it back to his goddamn cave for some reason, but the second I saw you, it all came into focus.
Stop it, Zoe. Just stop
In a minute. There is only one saint in this family, and it's not Waker, bless his heart, or Boo Boo, and it's certainly not goddamn Buddy. So if you are going to say the Jesus prayer, you would better be saying it to Jesus.
Will you just shut up, please?
In a second. What about your beloved Emily Dickinson? Do you want your Emily, every time she has the urge to write a poem, to sit down and say a prayer until her nasty little egotistical urge...
I'm sorry, Franny. I'm very sorry.